Hi there, this is Susie here playing with her Phalaenopsis orchids. Today she has decided to tidy up her Phalaenopsis orchids, having 8 surviving ones. Now I've ended up with 4, and the 4 that has died on me were given by friends, and my hubby bought a few, and trying to keep them alive was the hardest thing I found with orchids. I have been on social media googling it, trying to find out the best way to care for them, how to look after them, and I actually did make a lot of mistakes from what they were telling to what I was doing, and I was just not getting it, because they've been telling me water once a week and keep the sphagnum moss damp, and those sort of things when I applied to my plants really didn't work. I mean, all I was doing was rotting all the root system, and after killing 4 of them, I have decided that I need to give myself a new approach and trial it out myself, what works for me the best here in Victoria in 0 degrees in winter and up to 30 degrees in summer. And this particular plants, you know, if you really don't look after them properly, you do get messes of root rots. As you can see, if you overwater them, it gets bit, you know, the end of the roots are the dead cells, I call them, because the water does not get taken by these so-called these particular aerial roots. These are the roots in its natural environment. It holds onto the stems of the trees or the plants, and also grows on the trunks of the trees, out on the canopy of the rainforest. You know, we have the emergent, which is the top 50 to 70 meter high trees, and then we have the canopy, and then you have the shrub third layer, and then you have the bottom layer. So this one is the third layer, where you would see them out in the tropical climate and in the tropical zone, which is more equatorial zone. That's where you would find in their natural habitat. That includes Australia, India, Indochina, most of the ones that includes China, Borneo, Indonesia, Sumatra, all these areas, Papua New Guinea, and North America. They have got a lot of different species of the same thing, and other name for this Phalaenopsis, as you know, is moth orchids. And these days in our homes we get the hybridized ones, you know, the ones with beautiful flowers. They look gorgeous, they have dual colors, tricolors, and this has been hybridized by the specialists who know what they are doing. And they look really beautiful when they flower, because it lasts for months. I had my white one, this one, already flowered. I've actually taken all the flowers because they were dry. It was a white, beautiful white one. And it lasted for 3 months, and it flowered in December. It just carried on right up till now. So it can go for months and months. And the flowers are just so beautiful. Some have got beautiful scented smell. So it depends what type you're buying, of course. And these ones, particularly the cultivar, the hybridized ones, are very popular in our homes. And what I'm today am going to do, really, as you can see, I have taken the sphagnum moss that were already there. So when you buy, and I have learned that when you buy your orchids, you really don't know what's inside it. As you can see, you only get sphagnum moss, and this sphagnum moss, as you know, is very high sucker of water, the moisture. It just retains it. The more you water them, the more moisture it will hold. And when you buy them from the shop, and that's all it has, that's all it comes in, and it comes with the clear plastic with holes on the sides at the bottom, and all this, and the plastic, that the clear plastic is like so flimsy that it could fall off. So you could use whatever, you know. I have used this to keep my orchids alive, just a pot with lots of holes, and then I will show you how I have got them in there. But first of all, I am going to now tidy this up. Now, to tidy your roots, try not to cut where the raw, you know, where the intake is taken. You just cut it just below where the dead roots are. Otherwise, you may encourage infection and things like that. So just be very careful. There's a lot of dead ones. You just feel it, you know. If you see it's very spongy and things like that, the water intake wouldn't go through those type of roots. So all I'm going to do is just tidying all these roots up and cut the roots that is unwanted, which is no good in here, and it's only twirling around and creating space for no reason. And once I have done that, I will then come back to you and show you how I am going to use the new media for this particular Phalaenopsis orchid to be able to fill it up and make it all look nice. So I will see you very shortly. Hi there, I am here and I have finished tidying up, and I have got this much of rubbish that I don't need in this. So I have taken out anything that is dead root. So I've cleaned it out. Now after cleaning it out, I am going to put this in the water and clean all the roots out and just give it a good soak. Make sure everything is out of there. Just dip it the way I'm doing it, and then bring it out. And you can, you know, some social media videos that you watch or Google it, they will say, oh, cut it, don't cut these stems, cut it. No, you don't really know. I just can't see any benefit of having them, because in the last 6 months, this one has flowered, but in the last 6 months, none of them had flowered. Now this one has already flowered. I am actually going to cut these stems off. And where I am going to cut it, very close to here, just over here, as close as you can, and just snip it, just like that, because we don't really need them. It's not going to flower anymore. It's done its flowering. Same as here, just chop this one off very carefully. Right to the base, which I have cleaned it all out, and I have got, I'll just get a little paper cloth and just give it a bit of a leaf shine. And the leaf has got a little bit of water, so it's good to have any water inside this cone here. Everything has to be dry. You can't water in here, otherwise you're only asking for the stem rots or the leaf rot. It will start going brown and the leaves won't look as shiny as it is looking now. So you clean everything out, just do what I'm doing. And now I have got sphagnum moss here, which I soaked it in water, and it is just damp. It's not dry and it's not wet, just damp. And this time I am going to use orchid mix, which has got little bits. And also you can see little bits of, I have put perlite in it. Why am I using perlite? To keep the soil dry, on the drier side. And that's the reason why I'm using this white stuff in the soil. Now, first of all, what I'm going to do is to fill inside with moss, because you want, the sphagnum moss here. So you put them inside here, and then you put a bit of this stuff as well, and a bit of sphagnum moss. Bit of this and just go around it. So when you buy it from the shop, you know, it's just full of sphagnum moss. There's nothing else to really dry the soil out or anything. Once you water it, it's quite damp for weeks. So this is what causes the root rot, or the leaves going all yellow and funny, and just because it's just too much water. Now that I have made it into a ball, as you can see, a little bit of this on this side with the sphagnum moss, and then I have chosen a bit bigger pot, because this is what it came in, and well, I put them in rather than that plastic thing that actually they do come in. So I've transferred this here to keep this orchids, the Phalaenopsis orchids, alive. If I didn't change to anything, they'll be all dead. So I've got 4 dead and 4 is surviving, and this is my method of keeping them alive, and it certainly has worked for me, keeping them alive. And now I'm going to use a bigger size, a little bit bigger, and make sure it's got a lot of holes. This is for the air movement, because this particular cultivar, or the hybrid, does like a lot of fresh airflow, you know, so you have to give what this particular orchids do like. And now I'm going to fill it up with this at the bottom, just a little bit, and then put my Phalaenopsis orchid in. And you mustn't really tightly pack everything, because that's where the problem is. When you tightly pack it, there is just no air. The plant just cannot breathe. So when you get a new orchid, if somebody buys you, or you buy it for yourself, make sure you pull them apart and see what it's got and redo the whole thing. And if you can buy yourself some orchid mix, do that, and a bit of perlite and fresh sphagnum moss. Do your own thing just to keep your plants alive, especially the orchid. And then from here, I'm just gently going to pack them in with this particular orchid mix that I've made with perlite and orchid mix. And as you can see, the aerial roots, this particular aerial roots needs to be exposed. This orchid sort of works like the air plant, because this is how they breathe, through these green bits here. And when you know your orchid needs water is actually when, see this particular one here, it's grey in color. This is how I know that I need to water my orchids. When it's green, you don't need to water it, because it's nicely filled up with water. This one obviously wants some water, so I'll have to fix that one. But I want to change all the sphagnum moss in all of them to give them a new start, a new beginning, with some new soil and new orchid mix and new sphagnum moss. See, I have then gently packed it all in, and shake it like this, tap it all in, so that the little bark chips goes into its place, and refill it if it's got some spaces there, and leave some of these things exposed. And now that I have redone it, because it really needed repotting and with new nutrients and stuff for it to survive, now I'm going to put them into this particular pot. As long as the pot is bigger than this one, it's all good. So choose something that will have a good airflow. Either you can put it in here, it's got a nice big size, it's got a new airflow, and then you can water it just a little bit. How much water this particular plant would need is really, well, I've got a glass of water, so I'll put it in here just to show you how much water this plant would really need. Just a little bit, without watering the core of the plant, because no water drops must get into the leaves, because it really hates it. That was about quarter of the cup, and that's all it needs. And if you don't water it for a week, this plant will survive because they do not like wet feed at all. So this is the first one that I have done, and now I have to do the same with the rest of them. As you can see, it has been given me a new leaf here and a new leaf here, although it hasn't given me any flower. And what I will be doing is literally for this year, I'll be cutting this one off, because obviously nothing's going to happen to this long thing because it's already flowered when I bought it, and it really didn't flower in the last 6 months. So I just want to get rid of them because it's only taking energy, keeping this thing alive. It's not going to do any good. And do use this, it's a hard metal thing. When you see the spike of the flower spike that comes in, you put them in gently, and then use the butterfly clips to keep the stem straight, like you can see in all these. You know, that's what you need to do if it wants to flower next year. So I'm getting it ready for it to flower next year. And now with this one, I will be doing exactly the same. All these things, you know, gently just bring all this sphagnum moss out, because it's been here for nearly a year, and I just wanted to see it surviving, and I managed to keep them alive. So now I've got to look after them and give them some new beginnings with some new soil, and I mean the orchid mix and good sphagnum moss. You know, in the wild, this plant, as you know, works with a lot of fungi, it works with symbiotic independently. It doesn't rely on any of the plants that it roots onto or sticks onto, because it is not one of those that plants that strangle all the plants out in the wild. This just independently produces its own nitrogen and phosphorus, so it is very, very a good user of its own minerals and all this air that it produces. And as you know, this particular plant works at night and takes as much carbon dioxide that it can get at night at a temperature of about 30 degrees centigrade, and it just loves taking all the extra carbon dioxide it can manufacture, or I mean not manufacture, it can absorb. So it absorbs a lot of carbon dioxide, and that then forms into sugars, and that's how it keeps itself alive with its own food sources, with nitrogen, phosphorus, vitamins and minerals and things. So it's a plant that heavily relies on all sorts of fungi out in the wild. So this is how much I have got out all the bits, and this is the roots, and the roots are looking really healthy. I'm really surprised that it's doing quite well, but it does have, you know, some of the roots that needs tidying up, as you can see. So I'll be cutting all these roots. Just cut below where it's rotting. You don't want to cut where it's all green, because you don't really want to damage and get some sort of infection into their roots by cutting the good bits. So just be careful where you cut them and all that kind of thing. So what I'll be doing is cleaning it. As you've seen how I have done this one, I'll be doing the same with the other two, and hopefully next year I will see some beautiful flowers. And I have learned how to keep them alive here in Victoria in the temperatures of 0 degrees. And before I was just good at killing them. Didn't matter what I read, where I got all these, you know, the social media, all this research and Googling and everything. I never got it right because I was too good at killing them. And this is how I keep them alive, and I hope I have been helpful to keep yours alive. Thank you for watching my video. See you later. Bye for now.